you know.
You know, some people will say that the conversation we're having now seems to concern really big buildings. And oftentimes, you know, the buildings affected are usually small residential houses or, you know, maybe some public buildings, but, you know, not very big buildings as it were. We're not talking skyscrapers.
Right.
So how do you think that, you know, people, you know, who owns this small residential homes can involve structural engineers? They usually would think that that will be way out of their reach. And then we've also had this culture of, you know, this person did it, I can do it as well. Who's your contractor? And that's basically where it ends for them.
And that is wrong. That is wrong. Quite frankly, you're right. Most collapses happen with smaller buildings because those are the ones that are not properly monitored. And any type of structure could collapse. Even the stable, as small as it is, can collapse if it's not done right. My advice to homeowners is, you know, buildings are not things you can just reproduce at will. If, for instance, I designed a building to stand on this site, it's a two-story building, it may not be appropriate to locate the same building at a different site because the soil is different. For example, if this building needs a certain size of footing to stand on, usually there's a test that's done on the soil that's here to make sure that that footing size will work. Now, if you take it and move it to, say, a different site that maybe has a swampy area where in a swampy area where the soil cannot withstand such pressure, if you put the same building, the same footing size, everything, it will sink.
So clearly, if you ignore that, that's the first problem you're facing.
You're facing a problem. Just taking a building and moving it to a different site. A building should be designed to be site-specific. You can't just take a building and reproduce it. The other thing that that could cause a problem is because this person built it and did it right, doesn't mean that the next guy is going to do it right. Here again, you go into this concrete mix thing I'm talking about. The guy that's mixing your, I've seen them mix concrete. They just bring cement and sand and then the guy standing with a hose and just pouring water in it. You cannot do that. There's a certain ratio of water that you're supposed to add. There's something we call water cement ratio, by weight. There was a weight of water divided by the weight of cement should be a certain ratio. If you exceed that, once you exceed that, you start to weaken the concrete. So the guy that's repeating this building somewhere else may be not as good as the guy that did it in the first place. So that could lead to a lot of things can lead to collapse.
What would you say to somebody who just thinks, look, I'm just this land is pretty solid. Besides, it's just a bungalow. I don't need the soil test to waste my money, so I might as well just go ahead.
Right. Okay. Well, you can do that, but you're doing it at your own risk. If you do a soil test, there's something called soil boring. Dig into the soil. You might see a layer of clay, and then right below that you might see a layer of hard clay. Then right below that could be a layer of soft clay, and your settlement could happen in the deeper soil strata. So there's no way to tell just by looking at the soil,
you know,
at the building elevation.
I'm trying to think of expertise before we go quickly. How much of expertise do you think we have? I mean, at 26, you got your doctorate in structural engineering and mechanics. Do we have a lot of them here in the country that can also help people monitor, advise, oversee, so that lives can be saved?
Oh yes. We have a lot of very bright engineers in Nigeria. I've had the opportunity of dealing with a lot of very, very qualified individuals. In fact, my mentor, the guy that mentored me, that encouraged me or made me go into this line of work. His name is George. He's a very bright engineer, extremely bright. And even my older sister is a structural engineer as well, and she lives here in Lagos. I think it's probably the system that we need to look at. I think the government probably needs to be a little bit more forceful in enforcing the laws. I believe the laws are on the books. We just need to be a little bit more diligent in enforcing the laws that we have. But I think we do have the professionals here that can do it. We just need to, make people do it.
All right, then I'd like to thank you for coming on. Professor Eugene Mojekwu is a structural engineer. We've been talking about the way out of collapsed buildings. We'll return to take a look at your comments, possibly in just a moment. Join us again.